fine.
So I'll just hit go on that. Well, I think you asked about apologies, Madam Mayor, and the only apologies I've seen is from Councillor David Heritage, who's on holiday. So I would just ask that Council resolves to approve that apology.
Thank you. Can I see a show of hands, please? I think that's everybody. I think it was. Okay, thanks very much. Item 2 is declarations of, oh no, Councillor Farmer would like to say something. You're muted, Rosemary, you're muted. Rosemary, you're muted.
Sorry, I'll try again. Could I ask if councillors aren't speaking, if they could mute, because that's also distorting the sound.
True, very true. Thank you. Okay, so I'm on to declarations of interest. Does anyone have a declaration they need to declare? No, lovely, thank you.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I think Councillor Scriven.
Oh, sorry. You're muted, Lisa.
I need to just declare a non-pecuniary interest in the devolution of assets, just as a member of PARC.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Councillor Butterworth.
Yes, thank you. There are two items at the very end, the devolution and the storage depot, each of which concerns St Albans District Council, of which I'm a councillor and also happen to be chairman of the Rothamsted Park Management Committee of that council. And I wish that those interests to be noted, please.
Thank you. In which case, Town Clerk, do I need to ask each district councillor whether they declare an interest?
Madam Mayor, it's up to each individual councillor to decide whether they wish to or not.
Those who do, could you please sign? And I think that's everybody.
So, Madam Mayor, just to confirm, those councillors are declaring a non-pecuniary interest as a result of being a district councillor in relation to the items impacting on the district assets.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Item 3 is the Mayor's report and urgent items. I don't have any urgent items, but I do have a few things to report. One is that the item on the, I've lost it. Bear with me, sorry. On the boundary review consultation has been deferred until September. So that's the first thing to note. The second is I had a Zoom call with the Friends of Outside. Councillor Farmer was also on the call with the Burgermeister, Christoph Burkhardt, and we had a very pleasant exchange. And then also I had a quiz last Friday. Thank you so much to those councillors who took part. It was really kind of you to give your support. It was a great evening, thoroughly enjoyed, I think. And also thanks you to those councillors who couldn't make it but made donations. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you. I'm sure you'll be fascinated to know that the next money-raising venture is going to be a pet competition. So those of you who've got pets and adore them and would like to share photographs of them, please take part. I think it's starting next month and running into September. It's only £2 per picture, so it's something I think everybody could join in. So I hope to get your support with that one too. Thank you. Then we go to item 4, public questions in accordance with Standing Order 22. Do we have any?
None received, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Item 5, questions which have previously been submitted by members of the council. Do we have any?
Again, none received, Madam Mayor.
Lovely. In which case we're going to go to the minutes of the annual council meeting held on the 11th of May 2020. May I take those as a correct record? Those in favour, please show. Yeah, I think that's everyone. Thank you. And to confirm the minutes of the council meeting held on the 18th of May, same please, if you're in agreement, please show. Lovely. Thank you very much. So now we go on to item 7, which minutes of the committees and working parties reporting to the council. The first one is the Corporate Policy and Finance Committee meeting held on the 11th of March 2020. And I'd like to ask Councillor Maynard to present those minutes.
I would like to present the minutes of the Corporate Policy and Finance Committee meeting on the 11th of March. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Those in favour? I think that's unanimous too. Thank you very much. The next is item 7.2, Planning Committee meetings. May I ask Councillor Farmer to go through those?
They're not. Yes, I'll go through. Sorry, bear with me. I have to go through all of them. So I'm pleased to present the minutes of the meetings held on 28th of January 2020, 18th of February 2020, 10th March 2020, 31st of March, 21st of April, 12th of May, 2nd of June, 23rd of June, and 14th of July. These are for noting only. There are no recommendations.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Farmer. So the next item to go on to is item 8, Officers' Reports. The first one is 8.1, the Forward Planner and Resolution Tracker. And in this one, Council is asked to 2.1.1, note and approve, subject to any comments or amendments, the Forward Planner attached at Appendix A. And 2.1.2, note the Resolution Tracker attached at Appendix B and approve the removal of those resolutions marked complete. Do I have any comments or questions? Are we happy to accept the two recommendations, which is note and approve both the Forward Planner and the Resolution Tracker? Those in favour? Perfect, thank you very much. So now we move on to item 8.2, which is the year-end account. And in this one, Council is asked to 2.1.1, note the outturn for 2019-20 as set out in section 4. 2.1.2, approve the level of earmarked reserves and general reserves at the 31st of March 2020 as set out in paragraph 5.7. 2.1.3, approve the statement of accounts for the financial year 2019-20. 2.1.4, approve that the statement of accounts be signed by the Mayor and the responsible finance officer, which is Daniel Williams. So may I have any questions or comments? Councillor Butterworth.
May I just make the point that, and maybe for good reason, I'm relatively new still as a councillor, but these accounts have not been through the Accounts Subcommittee or the Corporate Policy and Finance Committee, which as a newcomer I would have expected them to. But I have looked at past practice and that seems to be consistent with the past, and I don't have any points of any material substance on the accounts. But I wonder if in some way we should consider whether in future the accounts should be go through those two committees, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Town Clerk.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So the provisional outturn does normally go to the June CPF meeting. And at that meeting, the CPF is normally asked to note the provisional outturn under the principle that it was subject to audit. Now, of course, given the circumstances we're in this year, we haven't had a CPF meeting in June. So that's normal practice, hasn't happened. I think it's also important to note that this year has been the first year that we've done the year end on our new financial management system. I think it's fair to say that we've had some teething problems with that, which has meant there's been a kind of a time lapse in getting the stuff out of the system. So I think in short, I think the useful thing would be for CPF in September to consider the future timeline of the approval of accounts in the context of the legislation and legal framework that we have to operate in. So the suggestion is to add an item onto the CPF forward plan for September, if that was acceptable to you, Madam Mayor, and perhaps the Chair, Councillor Maynard.
It's acceptable to me, Councillor Maynard.
That would be fine.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? In which case I won't go through all the recommendations again. I'll just go 2.1.1 to 2.1.4, those in favour please show. That looks unanimous. Thank you very much. We now go to agenda item 8.3, which is the internal audit report 2019 to 20. The recommendation is Council is asked to review and approve the internal audit report for 2019-20. So again, does anybody have any questions or comments? Councillor Drake.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, the only question I've really got is relating to the fact that the internal audit report contains a number of what might be called management points, and whilst they're not of a particularly significant nature, I think it's important, if we're accepting this report, to also understand what our responses are to those points, in particular the more major points, which are the one on the standing orders, the pecuniary interests, and the budget monitoring points that have been raised. I understand, obviously, the relevant committees have not been able to meet in the current circumstances, but I do think it's important that if we're approving and accepting this report, at some point there is a response to these points as to whether we are going to redress them or not.
Thank you. I'll ask the Town Clerk to comment on that.
Yeah, Madam Mayor. So Councillor Drake's quite correct in this. It would be good governance for us to make sure that we consider any comments that come forward as part of the internal audit. And so once again, the suggestion is that CPF in September, alongside the considerations of the future timeline for the year-end accounts, also consider these minor comments that are set out in the internal audit report, if that was acceptable. But I would just take the opportunity just to really reiterate that we've received good assurance here, and we've received no recommendations. And whilst we have had some minor comments, and it's always useful to reflect on those to ensure that we've got good assurance in the future, I think it's important to recognise exactly the standing that the auditor has given this time around.
Absolutely, yes. Good is the best you can get. Councillor Maynard.
I would just like to congratulate Mr. Cheevers and his team on the audit. This is, I think, the 5th or 6th year running we have had a completely clean audit. It shows that the team has worked very well to put together and keep our accounts and our finances in good working order. And having reviewed the management comments which came forward, some of them were interesting. We'll certainly be looking at them at the meeting in September, but mostly they were fairly small and non-material, which is in fact very good news. So well done, Carol and Daniel, on another good set of accounts, particularly given the problems of the changeover to new accounting systems.
Thank you. I think we'd all endorse that. Extremely grateful, especially I think to Daniel for fitting in so quickly and picking up how our system works. We're very grateful. And I'm very grateful to Carl for standing in as the RFO. So I can just see that Councillor Paul wants to say something.
Yeah, I'm looking at page 50, 1.14, 114, which is suggesting, well, it says we need to include commentary on the discussions that took place. I know previously when Paul Smith did it, we did raise queries and he made notes, but I suspect going forward, we'll need to put a bit of a commentary, a detailed commentary against what we say. That will be picked up in September, no doubt.
Thank you. Town Clerk.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, so I think if I can offer some personal views on some of the comments that have been put forward by the auditor, is that some of them are quite small and you wouldn't ordinarily expect them to flag the kind of things that they have done in the context of no recommendations and good assurance. The 1.14 is really important to understand in the context of the way in which the Town Council operates. So we don't provide detailed narrative on our minutes. We deliberately keep them around the resolutions that are made. And so whilst in September, the CPF will consider that particular paragraph as well, I think the officer advice there would be to continue as we are at the moment with the way in which we take our minutes. Otherwise, we would be required to change that approach across all of our committees and all of our council meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Maynard.
I think it's also important to understand that we're now in the 21st century and we actually keep a recording of all our meetings. And so if there's ever any concern, we can go back to the recording.
Thank you. Good point. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to raise? Or are we ready to go straight to recommendation, which was? Council is asked to review and approve the internal audit report for 2019 and 20. So are we in agreement to approve? Thank you. I think that's unanimous. Thank you very much. And then the next item is 8.5, which is Annual Governance and Accountability Return 2019-2020. And in this one, the recommendation is Council is asked to 2.1.1 approve Section 2 of the Annual Governance and Accountability Return 2019-20, setting up the accounting statement for the financial year ended 31st March 2020. 2.1.2 approve that the annual statements 2019-20 be signed by the Mayor and the responsible finance officer and submitted for audit. 2.1.3 note that the annual internal audit report 2019-20 section has been completed. Do I have any questions or comments? Thank you, Councillor Butterworth.
Off mute as usual today, sorry. Apologies, it may be entirely my fault, but have we dealt fully with 8.4? I know we're on to 8.5 now. I just want to be sure we haven't missed something. Apologies if had a micro sleep in the last few minutes.
Yep, we did 8.4.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and many apologies.
No problem, no problem.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I don't actually think we have accounted for 8.4. I think we've done 8.3, the internal audit.
Okay.
I think in your introduction to this item, you referred to the title of 8.4, but I think you might have moved on to the recommendations of 8.5.
Oh, we're having a wonderful time. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's back up. So we think we haven't done 8.4. Is that correct?
I think so, Madam Mayor, yeah.
Thank you. In which case, 8.4. Council is asked to approve Section 1 of the Annual Governance Accountability Return, setting out the annual governance statement for 2019-20 as detailed in paragraph 4. 2.1.2, approve the annual governance statement be signed by the Mayor and the Town Clerk and submitted for audit. I don't remember reading that, so you're quite right, everybody. So, the Town Clerk.
Yeah, firstly, sorry, Madam Mayor, I should have interjected earlier and helped you out there. I just wanted to say, as by way of introduction on this one, that thank you to Councillor Butterworth, who in advance of this meeting flagged an error on the report that I think needs to be addressed now, so that it's an amendment as you approve it. And that error is in relation to page 59, question 5, where it refers to the risk register. So the correct content for that particular section should say that the risk register was most recently approved by Accounts and Risk Subcommittee on the 21st November 2019 and by CPF on the 8th of January 2020. So I think we've just got some old dates on there that haven't been updated. So, Madam Mayor, if that's okay, in considering the recommendations here, that is an amendment that we would be making to this as part of your recommendations.
Okay. Do I have any questions or comments apart from that one raised? Councillor Drake.
Thank you. Yeah, that was one of my points. The other point is that we've not, due to the cancellation of the committees, been able to review the free monthly list of expenditure as a council in subcommittee, which is obviously part of the internal review and controls. And obviously we didn't do that, therefore, for the last 3 months of last year, or effectively the first 3 months of this financial year. Is it the intention to have a risk committee in September to review these payments?
Town Clerk.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I don't know if Daniel wants to pick up on that one, Madam Mayor. Okay.
Yeah, my intention is that we'll have a catch-up meeting in September, so we can go through all of the historic stuff, and then once we've had that, we'll then get back into the normal routine of checking them on a quarterly basis.
Thank you.
Good, good. Any other comments or questions? Okay, in which case, the council minded to approve 2.1.1 and 2.1.2. Those in favour? That looks unanimous. Thank you. Now we go to item Okay, in which I shall state again, recommendation is council is asked to 2.1.1 approve section 2 of the annual governance and accountability return 2019-20, setting out the accounting statement for the financial year ended 31st of March 2020. 2.1.2 approve that the annual statements 2019-20 be signed by the Mayor and the responsible financial officer and submitted for audit. 2.1.3, note that the annual internal audit report 2019-20 section has been completed. Do I have any comments or questions? No, in which case is council minded to approve? Perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to Daniel for coming along. So the next item I have is 8.6 capital receipt allocations. Okay, in this one, recommendation is 2.1. Council is asked to agree whether the ideas set out in paragraph 3.6 are to be further scoped and considered for funding at a future meeting. I propose we go through the items one at a time. I'm going to ask whichever councillor nominated the item to say why they wish the item to be moved from red to amber. So the first item is Councillor Turnbull, fund the Lee Valley Walk Green Space Action Plan. Councillor Turnbull. You're on mute, Councillor Turnbull. You're muted.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Right. Madam Mayor, having read this report, I'm happy to withdraw all my suggestions on the basis it's taken care of elsewhere, or else we don't control the assets at this stage.
So just to repeat, that's all your suggestions?
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much, Councillor Turnbull. Thank you for that. In which case, the next item to be considered is 112, which is constructing an all-weather path in Rothamsted Park, approximately 1 mile in length, to support running groups and improve wider accessibility. Could I ask one of the councillors who supported it? Yes, Councillor Hill.
I can take that. Yeah, thank you.
you.
So this is a path in Rothamsted. I know in our last meeting it came up with there were some detailed challenges about where we put it, but I think that since then I know that I have discussed this with various councillors, and I think that potentially I mean I put it forward, but again because I thought that even if the finer details of it could be ironed out in a committee at a later stage, I think that there could be some consensus maybe around some sort of path in Rothamsted beyond just what you have, which goes to the top of the park. Whether it's for design necessarily for runners, which I know I would support, but if even if it's just for design for just casual walkers and pushchairs and that kind of thing for families, when you just kind of small trail just round up, skirting the outside near where the new leisure centre is. And again, whether this comes through in this, if it doesn't happen now, that's fine. It might happen later on in Rothamsted, but I just thought I'd propose it again.
Fine. Do I have any comments against that suggestion? Councillor Butterworth.
Only a personal point of view, but I quite like the rural or semi-rural feel of the park the way it is, and therefore I would caution against too much sort of urbanisation. But I don't know how many other people, like residents of Harpenden, might support my view or the contrary view that's been made by Councillor Hill. But I thought I'd give my personal point of view.
Thank you. Again, to repeat, this is moving an item that was under the RAG assessment in red into amber. So it's for further scoping. It's not to agree to do it, but it is to agree to scope it further. So unless I have any other comments, could I ask whether councillors are minded to, oh, sorry, Councillor Maynard.
Just a very quick one. I used to run from the, for many years from the gym facility. There is a 1 mile run and a 3 mile run from there on concrete, which you can take, and I'd be happy to give that route to Councillor Hill if you wished. I've not seen people do it in recent years. It may just be that people don't know that it can be done.
Thank you. Any further comments? If not, I'd like to go for a vote. So those in favour of moving this into amber for further scoping, please indicate. No, I think I've just got 3 in favour. Those against? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, 6 against. Does that mean I have some abstentions? Yes, I have 3 abstentions. So is that clear, Town Clerk?
Yeah, thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much. The next one is 147, the circular cycle route around Harpenden. Again, if one of the councillors would like to propose it. Yes.
Sorry, I struggle with the muting. I think, I mean, the circular cycle routes, I think there were a number of cycling proposals, and they're probably been sort of put together and split out. They kind of come to the same point where I think what we discussed about in the last meeting is to just allow ourselves to have a more detailed discussion about where we can make some cycling improvements. Hopefully everybody has seen a huge amount of people, families and young people, so not standard Lycra people, who've taken up cycling. It's currently very unsafe, and I really fear that this is an accident waiting to happen. I mean, it's been quite quiet on the roads, and it's now less quiet on the roads, but I've known many near misses over recent weeks. And so I think this is something we should really encourage. This is the way forward. This solves so many things. It solves parking problems. These are people who are going cycling to the shops, not cycling just for a fun bike ride. But it would help solve our parking problem. It would get people fitter and healthier. It's obviously something that people want to do, but most importantly, it would keep people safer if we do whatever we can to make cycling safer for everybody in this town. I don't know if any of the other councillors want to add something. I think this is not about putting the whole lump sum towards cycling. I think this is about leaving a door open to discuss this further. Any of the other councillors that were proposing want to add something else?
Got Councillor Maynard.
I would completely agree with Councillor Priggin. I've spoken to many of my neighbours, and they have greatly appreciated the ability to cycle around the town when there was very little traffic. However, even with cycling paths, there are many obstacles which I won't go through to actually having free cycling in this town. I mean, not least of which is very narrow roads. But the biggest obstacle to us investing in it is that we do not control the roads. This is a county responsibility. So anything we do, we would end up with huge maintenance costs, and it could be overturned at any time if county decided to make changes to those roads. But I think there is something that we should be doing about cycling. We should be doing things in terms of indicating to people what are safer routes through the town. For example, if you live in the east, it's safer to go down Crabtree Lane than Station Road. There's lots of things that could be done. Maybe one of the things we should be investing is a safe cycling map, which actually indicates to people who are cycling which roads are safer than other roads. In terms of avoid the A1081 in Station Road, and here is how you can do it. That may go some way towards helping people, particularly those who are not so familiar with the town. The other thing I think we should really consider is, as a town council, advocating to county and saying that we would be really happy to be a model town for improved cycling, and try to get them on board with it, because at the end of the day it is their responsibility, and they have actually been given money by central government to put in place improved cycling. So they could maybe use us as a test case and as a model town, and maybe the town council should be advocating for that. I don't know what Councillor Priggen thinks of that.
Sorry, Councillor Maynard, you did fall away during part of this, and my connection is unstable. But as to the bit I did hear, the bit about county council, yes, I think we should do everything we can to promote safe cycling. I think it's wonderful to see so many people cycling, and I think right, if there are money available at county level, we know best the layout of our roads and where people would come from and where people would cycle to. So we should definitely have a seat on the table. Were there any other bits, Councillor Maynard, that I might have missed, because my screen froze for part and I missed?
Okay, the main part, Councillor Priggen, is that county have, the government has given a huge amount of money to councils to improve cycling. It's gone to the top. It's one of the things that has gone to the top of the government's agenda, and they are promoting it with county councils. The county council has lots of ideas how they want to do it. If you look at their policies and standards, they're bringing out new transport policies which focus a lot on cycling. We could maybe, as a town, write to them and say, please use us as a test case. Use us as an exemplar model, and we will work with you and give you, as you say, the insider's view on how this could best be done. That way, everybody wins, and the town council really cannot make these investments in roads because of the long-term impact, but the county council can, and so maybe we should be advocating to them. Yep.
Okay, we have a number of suggestions here related to cycling. Do we wish to take them all as a group then and decide whether we are supporting these to be further scoped? Is that sorry, Councillor Hill?
Yeah, I think that's fine, because I think this discussion we just had was just generally around cycling and happening. So yeah, I'd be happy, along with Councillor Priggen and Councillor Liverar as well, to just take all those together.
Okay, Councillor Cousin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to capture, if we can, something relevant to the two previous things we've discussed, both the walkway or running way and the cycle routes. And I think it picks up on what Councillor Maynard said, is that I think we do have some routes that are already there, some either safe cycling routes or running routes around Rothampstead, possibly the Common, or walking routes around the Common, that we could capture and promote at virtually no cost and a great benefit to the community. So if you Google, for example, Studham Common Walk, you get the parish council have got a great little map, so you can go for a specific walk, and there's similar things for cycling things. So we could hit some of those objectives for virtually no money just by producing what we've already got. I just wanted to capture that.
No, that's good. Any other comments? Councillor Cowley.
Yeah, just to reiterate some of the points already raised by Councillor Maynard and Councillor Cousin. I think it's going to be really important over the next few years that the town council does do something to promote cycling in Harpenden. But I think that just in terms of the specific proposals on the table, I think given that we've already set a precedent that we don't want to spend Harpenden Town Council money on assets that we don't control, and I find it very unlikely that highways will devolve some of those routes to us. I just think that this is something for, in my opinion at least, this is something for general council work rather than specifically for the capital receipt, just because it's beyond the scope of what the town council's here for, I think.
Thank you. Any further comments? Town Clerk.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I was just reflecting that on that point around promoting current cycle routes, what we could do is we could take an action to add an item to the Community Services Committee forward plan for them to consider that specific action. Again, if you were happy with that, Madam Mayor, and also if the Chair, Councillor Ellis, was satisfied with that.
Councillor Ellis?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, we can't spend money on doing things to the roads because we don't own them. You know, I mean, we're sort of interfering with somebody else's assets. So you have to get any sort of county council approval for what one was going to do. I think we could certainly look at this in the round at the CSC. Sure.
Good. In which case, if I pull that together, can we agree that the individual specific cycle routes, we will not move into amber? However, we will make sure that the subject of cycling comes into the CSC calendar, and we devote some time and energy to doing what we can. As Councillor Maynard said, liaising with County Council would be one of the first easy things to do. The map sounds an excellent idea to me. Does this sound agreeable to councillors? Could I have some indication of how you feel? I think that's, oops, is that 9? 8.
Yeah, that is, Madam Mayor. So that's enough to carry that recommendation that those items are not moved into amber, and the suggestion around CSC.
Thank you. And I think that way the Town Council can demonstrate very positive things about what we want to do with cycling, but not devoting allocated receipt funds to it at the moment. Okay, thank you. In which case I have the next one as being digital signage for parking availability. Councillor Cowley.
I think 162, just above that, is non-cycling related, isn't it?
Oh, yes, quite right. There's a footpath. Thank you. So could I have a councillor arguing for the footpath between Southdown and Wheatomstead? The only thing I would say about this one is obviously we could do the Harpenden stretch of it, but we have no ability to do anything about the Wheatomstead part. But it says here, footpath improvement project already agreed, and this location should be considered by CSC. So that would come to CSC. So I think that would answer that one without having to say that we move from red to amber. Does that sound agreeable to everyone?
That's fine with me, yeah. That's fine.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I think, in which case, I will now go to Councillor Cowley.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, just on the digital signage for parking availability, I mentioned this at the last meeting. I thought it would be appropriate to bring it up again. I think that given, obviously, parking is a sort of I think we'd all agree, quite a major issue for the people of Harpenden. I think something in the capital receipt demonstrating that we understand, that parking's a concern and that we're looking to do something on it would be sort of a good, if nothing else, a good symbolic move to sort of show that we appreciate the concerns that residents have. I also think specifically the idea on parking availability signage is a good one, because I know from reports I've heard across the various committees and previous council meetings that there is often availability in car parks that are less used during the day, and we might be able to spread some of the burden of things like town centre parking and some of the very busy car parks out into other car parks. I'm aware that there might be some difficulties finding the right spots for them, which is sort of why I'd like to see some further scoping on it. But if you disagree, I also would completely understand that they didn't want to take it further. I just thought I'd bring it up.
Thank you. Does anyone have a comment they'd like to make against this proposal? Councillor Maynard.
It's not particularly a comment against it. It's perhaps a plea. If any signage went up, there would be a tendency to put signage on the A1081 coming into town. In fact, the parking issue, most of the people who are having the problem parking are people who live in Harpenden. They don't go anywhere near the A1081. If they live to the north or the east, they would go to the car parks without touching it. If they live to the south and the west, they may have to go along the A1081, but not very far. So the positioning of that digital signage becomes crucial. You have to look at what the main routes really are in for, not for external people, but for residents.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Butterworth.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just following up on Councillor Maynard's point there, perhaps the answer is that we should look at putting the availability of car parking spaces on the website, or better still, on an app which would go on a mobile phone. Then it would be readily accessible by residents. And actually, if we're doing that, there could be other things we could use an app for as information for residents. I can't immediately think what, but in the current COVID situation, the changes to access, pedestrianisation, etc., to the town centre, things we would have perhaps communicated that way. So I'd suggest that's an option. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cousin.
Well, I'm not crazy about this idea. I mean, don't feel so strongly that I would try to block it going to be discussed. But one of the things, the reason that I moved to Harpenden rather than St Albans was it's kind of like country market town feel. Some people still call it a village. And having digital signage to car parks seems, I don't know, slightly against that feel. Also, you see it in cities where there may be 6 or 7 car parks and you're driving in, you don't know where to go. Whereas in reality, the size of car parks that we have, arguably there'd be only 1 or 2 that you would think it would be cost effective to have all the sensors to tell you this digital information. So I'm not crazy about it, but there we go.
Thank you. Councillor Turnbull.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Yes, Madam Mayor, just a general comment. One of the reasons I withdrew my item 148 is with the impact of COVID-19, I suspect anything to do with parking, etc., we should really be putting that on the back burner at this stage, for the simple reason, the way things are going, I suspect society locally may be going through a significant change. If you look at the amount of use or non-use now we have in our car parks, it may well be there is a change in mindset and the way many people in society live. So it might well be parking going forward becomes a different sort of issue. I'll leave it as just a thought for the future.
Thank you. Any further comments? In which case, could I have an indication of those who are happy for this to proceed to Amber for further scoping? I think I have 4. So that sounds like it's not, oh, sorry, 5. 5, or is, yes. Sorry, Town Clerk, you're going to say.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, so I think you've got 5 there. You've got Councillor Cowley, Councillor Paul, Councillor Butterworth, Councillor Maynard and Councillor Ellis, I believe.
Right, which is not sufficient to go forward.
So, Madam, yeah, no. So, well, it would be worth Madam Mayor understanding who's against it.
Okay, could I have indications of who's against? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 against. Does that make 2 abstentions?
I think that's 5, Madam Mayor.
Oh, good Lord, I can't count. Right.
5 against, as far as I can see. So, Councillor Cousin, Turnbull, Liver, Priggan, and Drake.
Right. Okay.
And I'm abstaining, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm also happy to abstain as well, just to be slightly better.
Thank you. Right. Where are we, Town Clerk?
So, Madam Mayor, we've got a stalemate. So, I wonder on this one, rather than, because there's the split on this, rather than agree or disagree as to whether this goes to an amber item, I wonder whether this is one similar to the last point, that this is considered by the next committee that looks at the parking strategy again, and they reconsider the point about the digital signage as part of their actions within there, if that would be suitable.
Would that be acceptable to everybody?
I'd be happy with that.
Thank you. I think it would, yes. If we can do that, that would be lovely. Okay, in which case, because we don't have the boundary review consultation, that's the end of the public part of our meeting.
Sorry, Madam Mayor.
Yes?
Sorry to interrupt that. Just on the last item of that last report, number 182, I know you took the cycling initiatives together. I just want that you're happy, because 182 has a pedestrian element to it. I just want to check that councillors are happy that you've dealt with that item in the one that you grouped together.
I did group it with cycling, quite right. Do we have a councillor who would like to talk for this suggestion? No, we don't. So in which case, I think we are where we are.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to close this part of the meeting and ask everybody to return in 5 minutes with the second login details. Town Clerk.
Yep, sorry, Madam Mayor. If it's okay for you, given that we're now not live broadcasting, just to make it easy for councillors, if you stay on this video, I will stop the recording of this one. You give me a couple of minutes and then we can continue in private on this login, if that's okay.
Oh, fine.
Save you coming off and on. It's the live broadcast that causes the problem between the 2 meetings. But Madam Mayor, I do just need you to formally resolve to move under exempt business for the reasons set out on the agenda.
Thank you. In which case, yes, item number 9, exempt business, to resolve that we discussed devolution of assets and the storage depot heads of terms in blue. Those in favour? Unanimous, I think.
It's carried, yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay.